So we're just going to wait for people to log on. This is an impromptu live presentation because I don't want people to know when I'm going live. I want to spring it on them. Anyway, so if you're watching the replay, just give it a minute. I'll probably put a timestamp in the description, or somebody will, when the actual discussions begin. So yeah. So I'm just waiting for people to log on. Okay, we got one person. Usually there's like 100, 200. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. So while we're waiting for people to join, you can watch me check my email. Hey Hamza, how are ya? Hello, moi. Do you remember me? I don't know. Vaguely, maybe. Hey, can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Hey Cameron, hey Rob, hiya from the Big Apple. Whoa, New York City. Wow. How you doing down there? Hello from Israel. Fantastic. Hey, how you doing? We are here. Let me know if you can hear me. Say, we can hear you. I just need one person to tell me you can hear me, and then we're good. Hello, the occult corner. Good to see you, Stef. Thank you. Good to see you. Thanks for joining from Los Angeles. Fantastic. Very good. All right, so okay, I guess you guys can hear me. People are joining in. Good. Yeah, so 40 people are joining in. So I just finished a presentation. As you guys may or may not know, my day job is actually running StudioWeb, which is a SaaS. I'll turn off the droplets, hold on. Which is a SaaS application that schools use, middle, high school, colleges use to teach code with. It's got all kinds of capabilities. So if you use StudioWeb as a student, you're only seeing maybe 5% of its tool set. Anyway, so I was giving a presentation today to some of my partners down in the US, some of the ambassadors, so they can take a look at the new StudioWeb 5 features. That's good. I'm glad you're doing cool in New York there. Yeah. I haven't been to New York in a long time, but I like that city, so I look forward to it getting back on its feet. We've had some issues up here in Montreal, of course. Good. I'm glad the audio is good. I'm sure the video is clear. How do you like my new plant? You gotta have plants if you're doing videos in the background. 169-year-old, exactly, that's me. Hello, okay, hold on, let me see. Hello, I wish you say my name. Can I earn money from programming? Yes, you can. I am university student now in computer engineering, best regards. Yes, Bashar, yes, you cannot go wrong being a software developer. Just keep working at it daily and stay calm and relaxed as you learn, and it will come. Yeah, so I was giving a presentation, of course, to my reps, and the universal rule of giving presentations, something is going to mess up. It's just the way it is. Anyway, so I was presenting some of the back-end tools in the SaaS, and some stuff just wasn't working for some reason. I was like, why isn't this working? Anyway, so I thought somebody maybe pushed, James, I'm loving the mentoring program, Stef. Fantastic, I'm glad you like it. Yeah, there's a lot more coming to the mentoring program, by the way. When I get done with the school season, which is in a few weeks, then I'm gonna be refocusing on the mentoring, and I'm gonna start releasing the early lessons in the Wizard course and the training. Be doing a few other things as well. The mentoring thing is coming along nicely. We had a bunch of people sign up, as you know. And yeah, so it's good. It's a good program. I enjoy it. I was actually mentoring somebody yesterday live. If you guys don't know, I have my courses, I have my StudioWeb SaaS, and I have a mentoring program I just launched as a pilot a few months ago. I haven't promoted it too much, and we've had a bunch of people on, And we have private Zoom meetings and mentoring, so it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. Anyway, so I was giving the presentation. Something went wrong. Some key functionality wasn't working, so I'm saying to myself, did somebody push a bad update today? Because I was going to get really angry. But I'm just kidding. As it turned out, there was a weird bug which somebody introduced, some very strange, I won't give you the details, but some strange bug. Somebody clicked on a certain setting and a subsetting, it would cause this problem. Anyway, I figured it out, of course, after the presentation. But when you're giving presentations, you gotta like roll with the punches. It's like, maneuver around the bugs as you see it, de-emphasize. So anyway, it works now. All right, so what's going on here? Let's answer a few questions. I can't stay on too long because I'm running on the camera, which is battery powered right now because I have to get a mains plug-in. Do you really think that after taking your courses, I could start freelancing soon after, even with just the basics? Yeah, because my basics course teach much more than just the basics. I've had many people go check Google reviews, type in StudioWeb Montreal, be sure you get me. Look at all the reviews. See guys and girls who started, 45 days later, 3 months later, they're freelancing. My foundation courses, I call them the basics, and they kind of are, but a lot of people have said that they take you from basic to intermediate level. And I teach in I have a totally different philosophy based on my decades of experience. The key to becoming a great coder is not to learn this framework or that framework or this framework or that framework. The key is understanding your foundations, good working practices. So you should do the foundation courses, and you should probably do the freelance course, because the freelance course not only teaches freelancing, it teaches you how to run a project and to develop a project. I keep it all very affordable. Hola. Bonjour, I'll say in French. Hi, Steph, what do you think of Svelte? Has it got a future? I don't know. I haven't used it, so I couldn't say, but if you learn it doesn't work out, you just pivot to something else. Hi, Steph. After your Python course, should I learn Django to simplify my work? If you want to do web and use Python, yes, you probably should go with Django. Although check out Flask. It's a lighter framework. It's a newer framework. There's much more jobs in Django versus Flask, I'm sure. But you might want to check out Flask. Aloha from Serbia. Well, aloha from Canada. I should say actually bonjour from Montreal, Canada. Bonjour is French for hello. What do you think about oversaturation of programmers at the entry level? People submit hundreds of thousands of applications and never hear back. Well, they're probably submitting really bad applications. I gave the process step by step, check through my videos, go through my back catalog on YouTube, how to proceed to get a job, how to develop the skills. Remember, besides the basics, you got to have good communication skills. If you have a lousy resume, you didn't put up a good site, etc., you're not going to make your life easier in terms of getting a job. Is a CS degree worth it in a country like Spain where it's free? Well, if it's free, might as well take it, right? A CS degree still has some value today, although it's diminishing over time. So learn it. Take a CS degree, it's free, and on the side, do some freelance, develop some skills, If you have to pay and you're going into debt, I would say don't do it then. How to go about first time freelance project when I'm not sure if I can deliver? You just commit to yourself you're going to deliver. Just make sure. That's where understanding the foundations comes into play. I call it the foundations, but you got to understand the whole architecture around developing apps and so on, so that you can make that decision about whether or not you can deliver. Don't say you're going to build Facebook, So you have to be able to judge that the project is within your capacity. And again, you're not going to know everything. You might have to explore this or that or the other thing as you go through it, as you develop. Is a web developer also capable of developing software? Web development is software development. Web development is just a subsection, is a specialization of software development. Most of the development these days is web development. So yeah, there's no problem. I have 2 questions, all right? Slap dash, how is the web stack not software? Yeah, exactly, it is software. Facebook, it's a web app. Google is a web app. Of course it's software. It's amongst the most complex software in the world. React Native sucks. 65% build errors, building 30% code. This is my last. I don't know. I haven't looked at React Native, so I couldn't say. But yeah. Will cloud computing kill software? No. Oh, you're talking about software installed on a computer? No, I don't think so. Eventually, maybe, but it's kind of like hybrid. If you look at like Adobe Cloud, Photoshop and Premiere and Illustrator, it's a download that you install, but it actually talks to the server as well. I think it's going to be a hybrid, you know. Hello, love from Canada. Thanks for watching. I take your course now. You think it's wise to take another course while taking yours to speed up learning? Thanks. No, you speed up learning by completing my courses, then jumping into the game. And then what you do is once you jump into the game, meaning you get a first couple of projects for free, which is like your stage, your learning projects. Then you learn what you need to learn based on the jobs coming in. You know, my goal is to get you to being able to write code and make money from writing code as quickly as possible. And then when you have to learn something new for a particular job, you get paid to learn something new. That's the best way to do it, right? Hi, Stefan. Where do you host StudioWeb? I.e., what is your infrastructure in a nutshell? Don't have to leak any secrets. Just interested in how high from South Africa. No problem, open source. So I've done different things over the years. At one point, the original StudioWeb was hosted on dedicated servers that we would, was it co-located? No, but it was dedicated hardware. We literally rent a box and we'd stick it on some big provider's backbone. And the provider was called iWeb. And I did that for years. Prior to that, I actually had my own servers and I had, I think it was ISDN lines coming in, this is way back in the day, into my place, and they would plug right into my servers. And I was actually even hosting VC financed companies back in the day. But that's not a thing to do. You have to decide in your career if you're going to be a host provider, or you're going to be a developer. It's a lot of work to do both. So what I do now is we have two areas. We have two hosting providers, in fact. Three if you consider our video streaming. Number one, the main application is hosted on a VPS that is fully managed by a hosting company. So fully managed VPS solution. So it's our own private server, virtual server rather, and it's fully managed by the company. They take care of updates and patches. They take care of backups and redeploys. This way, we don't have to worry about all that. We concentrate on the business. We concentrate on maintaining and building out our SaaS software. SaaS is software as a service. That is the main thing. Now, we also have DigitalOcean droplets, which are virtualized servers, for very particular needs. So, for example, one of our clients, commercial clients, they manage their own installs, their own classrooms, their own district in StudioWeb themselves. So what they do is they have their own internal systems with their databases of all their students coming in. And then they have their system create a CSV file, which is a text comma delimited file. CSV is short for comma separated value. That's it. And so their system extracts the latest, all the students they have in their school, and it changes up, right? Because students move around and stuff. So they extract from their SQL-based database, and it creates a CSV file. This CSV file on their system, deposited into a directory on their system. They have a cron, they have an automatic processor, then uploads that CSV file to a dedicated virtual server that we created specifically for them. So it uploads that, and our server, the StudioWeb app, will pull that droplet, that virtual server, periodically, and it will draw, and when it sees something there, it will grab that text file with all the new student data, and it will parse through that, make sure there's no errors. If there's an error, it will send an email back to their administrator, say, hey, there's an error in your CSV file, here's the error, check it out. If there's no error, then it will extract all that data and then process it and parse it out and then put it into the StudioWeb system. Why do we do it that way? Because we didn't want them to have a direct access to our VPS that houses the main application server, the main application. So that's just a way of protecting it, and it's a way for people to have direct access, if you will, to managing their own systems via their system. This is a typical way of doing something called interop, which is having one system talk to another. There's many ways of doing it. The thing is about software development, the reason I talk to people about projects, don't get caught up with project tutorials. You do one or two here and there to learn something quick and then you move on, because you're going to find that every client that you have is going to have their own requirements. So this particular district in question, they have their system and they're not going to change their system for you. They're not. So they didn't want to, they didn't, based on the type of data that they had, the typical way of transferring data these days is something called JSON, JavaScript Object Notation. It's basically little JavaScript objects that it's a very lightweight way of exchanging information from system A to B. They didn't want to use that, and also the type of data that they had, it was just better with a basic CSV file. So we did it that way. So it was a lot of custom code. So no project tutorial is going to help you there. You have to understand the foundation. You have to understand how systems work so that you can write code based on the particular needs at that particular moment. This is a lot of back-end coding is about this kind of stuff. I hope I didn't bore you with that. What do we got here? 146. All right. How long does it take to become a programmer starting from zero? Well, you can get entry-level coder job, like really entry-level, a few months, you know, a couple months maybe. Like we're talking basic stuff, you know. But that's cool. Again, one thing I keep emphasizing to everybody, you learn best by doing. That's how I structure everything. I could create all kinds of tutorials on this and this and this and this and this and this and this. It might make me more money, but it's not the way to do it. Hi from Australia. I love your courses. Very cool. All right. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate that. I'm glad you like that stuff. Do you have any emotional attachment to a specific programming language? And in fact, I do, is Java. I cut my teeth, if you will. I cut my teeth as an expression that means I really developed my skills as a coder, as a developer with Java back in the 1990s. I learned so much with Java. And Java has had such a huge impact in the entire developer community in terms of what they did, and all these other languages and so forth will copy Java. I'm not saying Java is perfect. I would not write new apps in Java these days because it's too verbose, meaning that it takes too much time to write something in Java versus, say, Kotlin if you're doing Android apps. That's why even Google said recently, if you're going to do Android development native, do Kotlin, not Java. You can still do Java, but Google prefers Kotlin. Why? Because Kotlin is just a lighter, nimbler language. That's all. But yeah, my affection for Java runs deep, which is kind of weird, because I wouldn't use it today because it's too slow to write in. I would rather use higher level, more nimble languages. But don't get me wrong, there's plenty of jobs in Java. Very crazy capable language, but you can write, like, I use this as an example. I remember the first time I was introduced to PHP, and I was doing a freelance gig, and the client had a PHP infrastructure, and they wanted to add some capability to their system. And I wanted to do it in Java because that was my favorite language. And they said, no, we're going to do it in PHP. We don't want all these different languages in our system. And I told them, well, I said, Java's much better, this and that, especially back then. PHP was really primitive back then. So I was forced to do it in PHP because the client is paying. So they, you know. And then I was writing PHP, and I realized even with primitive PHP, it's like, it would take at the time, it would take like a page of code to send an email in Java with a servlet, something called a servlet. And it would take one line of code to do with PHP. And I said, oh, yeah, PHP may have some major weaknesses, but man, one line of code versus a whole page, you know? And so that's why I wouldn't write anything new in Java unless I had to, because you can be much more productive with higher level languages like Python, like PHP, like JavaScript. Any love for .NET Core? I used early iterations of .NET many, many years ago. It's very powerful. So if you're interfacing with Microsoft products, then use it. You know, all these frameworks, they're all very good these days. All the, you know, whether Java, JavaScript, PHP, Python, not Ruby, they're all very good. You know, it depends on what you need to do. Do you think tech companies such as Apple are overvalued in the stock market? Whoa, I would have to look to see what their evaluations are, their PEs are, price to earning. Some are, I'm sure, but if I knew 100% sure, if I had 100% accuracy in terms of evaluations, I would be the richest person in the history of the world, right? It's a bit of a guess. I think Apple has got a long way to go. I think the moves they're making now with their ARM-based product, Silicon, and they got such a powerful brand, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think they're going anywhere. But I also think Microsoft's a fantastic company as well. I haven't looked at what I own Apple stock. I don't own Microsoft. I should buy some actually, but it's they're both really good companies. I'm at my first step at learning CSS. Should I learn Sass instead? No, learn core CSS. Then you can look at Sass if you feel a need to. Learn core CSS. By the way, CSS is going to trip you up, especially with the cascade and layout, especially with the cascade. But yeah, you get by it. Alex Meza. Cheers, man. I'm curious. How often do you take breaks when you're working? I have a bad habit of forgetting to do so and working long hours. Well, if you're on a roll and you're very productive, then go with it, I guess. But don't burn yourself out, because if you get to burnout, it's really hard to dig yourself out of that hole. It could take a long time. So, get in your exercise. Get in your exercise. All right, what else we got here? Free CS degree. I'm on it. Yeah, if it's free, why not? Especially if you're young. What do you do when you won't find any solution logic to a given project as a junior developer? Well, you start asking around, start talking to people, see what it is, what other solutions are out there that might help you out, Oh, well, thanks for doing the Lovecast. It's Livecast, not a Lovecast. Wrong site? Okay, I'm just joking. Yeah, no problem. I enjoy it. Bonjour, I'm all right. I am all right sitting at home with experience when people without experience have jobs. Well, just fix up your resume, Fix up your resume. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you got to polish some of those communication skills, which I always talk about. The soft skills. How long does it take to become a programmer from knowing nothing to fully qualified programming doing your course? As I said, I've had people say they've done it in 45 days. I had one guy tell me that he had no background in coding before, did my course, worked hard at it though, 45 days, went in for a job interview and beat out people with a CS degree. So, but whether it takes you a month or 2 months or 4 months, whatever, once you're there, you're there, Again, entry level, You really learn by jumping into the game, Stefan, where would you say that newbie-ish developers can find ideas for small projects that people actually want to use, like browser plugins and things of that magnitude and complexity? Browser plugins could be difficult, right? Because it's very specialized and you got to make people aware. I always suggest, just go out and talk to some local businesses. Just start freelancing a bit. Let them tell you, especially when you're first starting out, it's part of the process. And then as you continue work that way, what will happen is you're going to run across, this is an obvious use case here that I could develop. How can I help a small business with their website when they don't have any good photos or writing skills? Yeah, that's part of the process. That's do my freelance course. I talk about all that. Where should I point them? Should I offer to do the copy of photos myself if I can? Well, yeah, just work it into the contract and make sure everybody is clear as to what it is you're going to be doing, right? One of the things I teach is that when you are setting up your payment method in that the way that they're going to pay you when you're contractors, you got to go for the 33 split, something I discovered 200 years ago. What's the 33 split? Now, first of all, when you're getting a freelance contract, never do any work until you get some money from them, unless you're doing your first couple of free contracts to develop reputation skills. But beyond that, when you're going in there commercially and you make a deal with somebody, make sure you don't do any work until they put up some cash. Now, there's two payment methods, 50-50, 50 upfront, 50 on completion. But what's much better is I call it the 33 split, and it goes to your question. So what's the 33 split? 33% upfront when you start. When you deliver the first draft, they have to pay you another 33%. And when they deliver the final, when you deliver the final product, you get the final 33%. Why do you want to do this, and why is this better? Number one, what you're going to find, this guy may run into here, is that you have companies who want to do a site, but when you have to get them to come up with photos and writing and the copy, the text for the site or for the app or whatnot, that may drag on forever. Happens all the time. That's why you got to have several clients going at the same time. So you're rolling them out. You're rolling them. So let's say one client starts and you start going and you get your 33% up front and you deliver a first draft and you need them to get back to you, but they may be busy. They may get back to you a week later. They may get back to you a month later. You never know. So meanwhile, you should have other clients you can work on so you can keep the funds flowing, right? So they get back to you finally for client number one, and they give you the basic text, basic images. So you deliver the first draft. And in the contract, you specify on the delivery of the first draft, they got to pay you another 33%. So they got the first draft, right? And now they pay you your second payment. So now you have 66% of the money, almost 70% of the money. So what does this do? Well, first of all, you've done a small percentage of the work and you got 70% of the money almost, well, 66%. And at the same time, them knowing that they've paid most of it off, they're going to be more incentivized to want to deliver the text and the images and to give you the feedback that you need to finish the project. But what you're often going to find in the freelance game is to go from the first draft to getting that final done is a long stretch of time. So the first draft is this much time. To get to the final is like this much time. So instead of if you did the 50-50, where you get 50 up front and the other 50, you're probably going to wait a lot longer to get that 50%. But if you do it my way, the 33% split, you got 66% of the money very quick. And as I said, you should have many clients rolling out at the same time so that you have a steady flow of cash. And again, my freelance course, I map all this out. You got to specify schedules. You got to make sure that they don't, when they pop up, if they disappear, a client disappears for 2 months and then shows up, and you got to make sure that the client understands that you're not going to just go, woo, I got to stop everything I'm doing and do your work now. Everything's on a schedule. It's all detailed in the contracts, etc. So this way, you manage the process. A big reason why freelance projects fail is because you're not managing the process properly, which means partly managing your client's expectations and your expectations. I hope that helps. So yes, to answer your question, Nathan, how can I help a small business if they don't have any good photos or writing skills? Yes, you can offer to do that, specify that in the contract, and just make sure you get compensated for your time. If it's not software, was it then graphics card? I don't know. I don't know the context. Sorry, guy. How are we doing for time? Yeah, my battery's about to run out. So, what What language to learn app development and making simple note-taking app like GoodNotes? Again, for the web, for me, I'm a big advocate of PHP for a bunch of reasons. I went into it, but you could do it well in PHP. You can do it well in JavaScript. You could do it well in Python. You could even do it well in Ruby. All right. What's that? Finally, I got to listen to Stefan live. There you go. Should I learn machine learning? Well, I would, again, learn your foundations so you have a basic, you want some nerd eyes. What do I mean by nerd eyes? You have the ability to sort of assess technology, right? You don't want to be blind to it all. If you don't know anything about coding, it's going to be harder for you to assess whether you want to get into machine learning. It depends on a lot of factors. You may like the idea of machine learning, but you may not like the actual job of machine learning. You may find that front-end UX, UI much more fun for you. So learn your basics and then start looking at dabble just a little bit, a couple days here, a couple days, dabble around, and then you can decide whether or not that appeals to you, and then look at the job opportunities in the marketplace. Sir, should I prefer Java or Swift? They're not really competing technologies. Swift is used for iOS development and Mac app development. Java is Android, but a lot of back-end Java. They're two different beasts. It's more about type of work you want to do. Okay, this guy says that. What is the risk of changing jobs right now? I've been studying HTML, CSS, JS, still a newbie at JS. I really want a dev job, a web dev job, but I am afraid if I change, it could be fired, laid off shortly after. Well, you know, don't drop until you got something secure on the other end, right? So, yeah, if you quietly look to secure another job on the side, when you have another job that's guaranteed, you're in, then you can quit the old job. But if you need money, don't drop the job. You can sort of juggle both. I do graphic design currently, and the company is really awesome, but the pay is not the best. Yeah, I would transition slowly. Learn the skills, put up the site as I teach. Do a couple little freebie gigs, develop some reputation, some real-world skills. Then you can land a job, especially if you got a good design background as well. You can maybe become like a high-end UX UI guy, and who knows? Maybe you show your company, hey, look what I can do now. Look at my web skills, and maybe you could get a raise within the same company. At 22, am I too old to start programming? Not even close. You're very, very young. Let me tell you, there are billionaires who are 50 years old and 60 years old. They would give away all their money to be you at 22. Youth is super valuable because you got years ahead of you. So jump in. How should one tackle imposter syndrome? Build real things. Build real things. Start building real things. I've been there. I remember back in the 90s, I was writing web apps. And I remember I was writing my infamous online dating app that I wrote. It was a web app in Java. And it became like all these swingers invaded my online dating app. So I was like, But that being said, it was pretty complex. And I remember a friend of mine, he was a great, great C++ coder, developer. And at that time, I remember I used to think to myself, oh, C++, ooh, that's very high end compared to Java. But then my C++ guy, who was a fantastic developer, making big money and highly experienced, and he looked at, and I was showing him some of my stuff, and he goes, wow, that's really complex. And when I realized when talking to him that he was in that world, the C++ world, I was in the Java web world, and they were equally complex, but in different ways. And I knew not much about his, he didn't know much about my world. And though he was super talented, and much better than me in certain areas, I was much better than him in other areas. So yeah, that's the thing about imposter syndrome. Part of it is you look at other people's skills and you go, oh wow, these people, they know all this. I don't know any of that. But what you don't know is what they don't know. And you probably know a lot of stuff they don't know. Anyway, just jump into it, just do it. Question, what do you think about the future of C# for web apps? Here in Austria, it is more and more common. C# is never going anywhere. Microsoft is hitting it out of the park with regards to their technology stacks. So you can't lose with that. How to get from WordPress development to actual web development for clients? Again, my process is tried and true and it's consistent. You do your foundations, make sure you're not a code, do 1 or 2 freebie projects for clients for free, and then that's the start of your web development career. How long does it take to become a programmer from... Okay, I gotta have to get a guy. Stop asking the same question. There we go. Is it worth doing Google Cloud AWS certs if you already have almost 3 years experience in software development? I'm from Ireland. I don't know. I don't think so. I think since you got the experience and you just show that, you say, I know, you just put it on your resume. I know AWS, I know cloud. You're probably fine because you got those 3 years experience. As I say, in the hierarchy of importance, certificates of completion are down, right down here. Certifications where you're tested are up here. We'll go like this. And then actual experience is worth like off the charts, off the camera. So if you got the experience, I don't think so. I think you just got to learn it and just say, I know it. What is the scope of PWA in front of mobile apps? What is the scope? Do you mean how many are doing? I don't have statistics on that, but I can tell you that I think it's the broad future for several reasons. Technical reasons, because you write one code base, runs everywhere. So that means less cost, more time effective, Also, a lot of people don't want to install apps. They'd rather use a PWA. Case in point, Starbucks recently announced that when they switched to PWA from native, they found their usage went up 50%. That's Starbucks. So they went to PWA for I don't know what reasons they did internally, but they found it actually increased usage by quite a bit. I don't know about you guys. I don't like installing all kinds of apps. You never know what you're going to get, PWA is safer. How can I make a strong profile in other countries like US as I am from India? I would put up a site and make sure your American English skills are really, really good. Get really good at that. I think that would be your biggest hurdle. Make sure that you can communicate well in American English. And then, again, start reaching out to US companies, US people, and just get some experience in that market that way. I hope that helps. Hello from USA. Do you think back-end engineering is dying? No, it's increasing. In fact, I saw a report recently showing it's still increasing. I'm going to do a video on that at some point. How long does it take to become a programmer from knowing? Okay, I keep catching this guy. Bakar, I answered the question. Don't ask again. Hi, Stefan. What's the difference between StudioWeb course and Killer Video Store courses? StudioWeb, same basic course structure. The StudioWeb, if you basically Killer Video Store is the old video store is going back years and years ago. When I designed that video store back in the day, I was delivering courses on CD, not DVD, CD. We went from CD to DVD to USB keys to streaming and download rather. StudioWeb is streaming. When you buy from the StudioWeb, you get the latest versions, you get the more refined versions, and it's streaming, whereas Killer Sites is download. I just keep the Killer Sites up because it gets so much juice traffic-wise. We're updating all that, by the way. I have my guy. We're redesigning all the blog, all the UIs for StudioWeb vlog, Killer Sites vlog, Killer PHP vlog. A lot of updates coming after I get the schools onboarded this year. When a client requests for a new feature for their app during development, should I charge them? Of course. Considering the feature will consume more time and labor, it was not listed in the contract. Of course, that's why you have solid contracts. If they add a new feature, you gotta say that's called a change request. And it's an add-on. It takes time. Business, investing, entrepreneurship, or CS, what would you do in college? Business investing. You know, I would do CS if it's free, and then you learn to be entrepreneurs from actual entrepreneurs, investing from actual investors. I'm stuck between learning React and not sure I know enough JavaScript. Please advise. Well, start a React tutorial and see if it makes sense to you. Also understand a lot of the courses put out by people who are not very good teachers, so don't necessarily give up if it's hard at first. It could be just a real bad teacher. But you should understand your JavaScript variables, functions. You should understand anonymous functions. You should understand inheritance. You should understand the DOM hierarchy. If you got this, then you're ready to go. I see your fake plant in the background has grown already. Exactly. Yeah, it grew fast. Unbelievable. Fake plants grow much faster than real plants. I went through that. If you have doubts, then double up on your JS because you're going to need React. Yeah, you make sure. Yeah, exactly. If you have problems with React, it's probably because of holes in your JS skills. Will your Lizard Wizard course teach us how to have more guts when we venture into freelance web dev? Indeed, it will. In fact, it will. Yeah. Why does it seem impossible to imagine anyone would give us money for a website? That's crazy because most development is web app development, right? Yeah, that's the whole point of Lizard Wizard. If you don't know, we have basically, this is a very simplified way of describing. We have two different brains. We have a higher thinking brain, the logical brain, the brain that goes 2 + 2. And then we have our lizard brain, which controls all the autonomic functions, controls the breathing, the heartbeat, the organs functioning. It also controls all the processing of the data coming in through our senses. Our perception of reality is based on what our senses take in, what our eyes see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we feel. Our brain processes that. So think about it in programming terms. There are scripts, there's code. There's software in our brain that processes all the data. So it gets all this light information and our brains process that. So understanding how this lizard brain functions is very important. Why? Because the lizard brain is super powerful and has such huge control over our lives that we don't know. It's all the latest research in cognitive psychology. But you know what? I've learned some of this stuff in martial arts 25, 30 years ago too. Yeah, it's going to cover all that. Eating my pizza. There we go. Which is best, web development or Android development tracked? I think you have more job opportunities in web development. All right, how are we doing for time? Okay, you know what? 42 minutes. My battery's going to go. So that's the end of this live broadcast. If you like my giant fake plant, let me know. I thought it would add a little color to the, give me the thumbs up for the giant fake plant. And let me know, what do you think of this video quality? I got a brand new camera because I got rid of the old camera. I still have it. I'll show you in a second. Hold on. So after 3 years, I'm retiring my old camera, which is still an amazing camera, but the one I got here is even more amazing. So I hope you see the difference in the quality. Anyhow, all right. Give me a thumbs up if you like this presentation. We are good to go. 40 minutes enough. And it will be in the replay. There you go. Peace.